Good evening and good afternoon to you, and welcome to the annual Dean's Colloquium on Religion and Public Culture at Boston College. My name is Mark Massa, and I'm the Dean of BC's School of Theology and Ministry, and I'm delighted that you could join us this afternoon. My hope in beginning these annual colloquia 3 years ago was to bring to Boston College extraordinary individuals who have engaged the core issues of our time, issues in which questions of religion, politics, social need, and the evangelization of those on the margins of our culture meet. Thus, 3 years ago, we invited an outstanding group of pundits and political scientists to discuss the role of religious prejudice in political campaigns. That colloquium was entitled, "Has Anti-Mormonism Replaced Anti-Catholicism and Anti-Semitism as the Core Political Prejudice of Our Time?" Last year, we gathered a distinguished group of ethicists and religious thinkers from the Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, and Muslim communities to consider an evening of a discussion that was entitled "Income Inequality and Our Duties to the Poor." This evening, in cooperation with Catholic Extension, the Dean's Colloquium honors 4 extraordinary people who are models of Pope Francis's desire for believers to be advocates for those on the margins of society and who are themselves, as you are shortly to find out, powerful agents of change. Our event tonight is thus called "The Transformative Power of Faith," responding to Pope Francis's call. These individuals have been honored by Catholic Extension for their ministries in some of the poorest communities in our nation, and this evening they will share their compelling stories about the work they do to transform the lives of people by their living out of the gospel call to all of us to be doers of the just word. St. Francis of Assisi once famously told his followers to, quote, "preach always. If necessary, use words." What makes the Dean's Colloquium this afternoon so exciting is that we will have the opportunity to encounter firsthand extraordinary individuals who have, in fact, lived out St. Francis's advice. The message of their lives will be matched by powerful words from those who know them. Our event tonight is co-sponsored by Catholic Extension. Now, many of you perhaps have never heard of Catholic Extension until this afternoon because actually it's often called the church's best kept secret. Hopefully after this afternoon, it will be less of a secret. Catholic Extension is a national nonprofit organization that contributes to the growth and vibrancy of the church in the United States in unique and compelling ways. It strategically invests in mission dioceses, that is, dioceses that can't maintain themselves financially. Since 1905, Catholic Extension has provided much-needed funding to both dioceses and parishes to support programs and services that invest in people, in infrastructure, and in ministries. Our panelists this evening are all past recipients or finalists for Catholic Extension's quite prestigious Lumen Christi Award, which recognizes those in mission dioceses who have devoted their lives to the poor and have fostered Catholic communities that build faith, inspire hope, and ignite change. A warm welcome to all of you, and it is now my distinct honor to introduce to you the wonderful president of Catholic Extension, Father Jack Wall.
Well, thank you very, very much. It's a delight to be here in Boston College and Father Mark Massa to experience the wonderful hospitality of this wonderful community and this school that bespeaks so much about what is really excellent in church life and church ministry that's expressed in the life of the community of Boston College and certainly in the wonderful School of Theology and Ministry. My name is Jack Wall, and I am the president of Catholic Extension. We are absolutely delighted to be here with you and to explore the topic of how our faith, when it is really put into action, can lead to the transformation of our society and our world. Allow me to be very brief in telling you about Catholic Extension. As Father Mark said, we're a national organization, but really we are a lay movement, a Catholic lay movement that is also a papal society. We've been around for over 100 years, and we exist to do one thing, and that is we are here to evangelize our land and our culture by raising awareness and funds to support the presence of the Church in America's economically poorest places. As our tagline says, we build faith that inspires hope and that ignites change. We do so by partnering with inspiring people around the country, like the panelists who will be here joining us here tonight. These people extend the light of Christ to the marginalized and into the seemingly God-forsaken places of our nation, resulting in the transformation of not only hearts and lives, but the transformation of our society and culture as well. At Catholic Extension, we're very proud that you cannot go to the poorest places of the United States and not find the presence of the Catholic Church. We are grateful that in the last 3 years, Boston College School of Theology and Ministry has been a key partner with us in helping us support these communities by providing vital educational opportunities to leaders that are emerging from these very areas. I would now like to introduce you to 4 very talented people, very inspiring people, who will be our panelists this evening. And I'd like to invite them to stand as I introduce them, and then eventually we'll have them join us here at on the dais. First, José and Digna Lopez. José and Digna, who come to us from the Diocese of Stockton. They come to us from the Diocese of Stockton, California, where they've been very, very active in the Hispanic church communities in that area. Father John Hatcher. John is a Jesuit who works with the Lakota people. He works with the Lakota Nation on the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota. And we also have Sister Susanne Dziedzic. She is a Felician sister who serves in rural South Carolina. What all of these panelists share in common is that they have been recognized by Catholic Extension for our Lumen Christi Award. This award is a way for us to lift up the heroes, true heroes of the American Catholic Church, who are living out what Pope Francis envisions when he says that he prefers a church that is bruised, that is hurting, that is dirty, because it's been out on the streets, rather than a church which is unhealthy from being confined and from clinging to its own security. We relish this opportunity for you to hear stories about how faith communities are truly making a difference in the often forgotten corners of our own country. Each of our panelists has brought with them a local community leader who will offer some examples of the transformation that they have personally witnessed. Accompanying José and Digna is Lily Bobadilla. And she's joining us, Lily. And joining Father John Hatcher is Mrs. Jennifer Blackbear. And lastly, joining Sister Susanne is Kevin Cooper. Because pictures say 1,000 words, before beginning our discussion, we prepared a brief video that will introduce you to the communities that our panelists come from, and then they will join Father Mark Massa on the stage. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I know, we're like the second most dangerous city in the U.S., but I always say it all depends on the crowd you hang around with. A youth group, activities like this, helps kids stay out of trouble.
They come here without family, it's men only, young people, and we try to involve them in some kind of programs in the church.
I was a little involved in gangs, and at that time I was a teenager that I didn't know what would come. And I got a lot of trouble. I got suspended from school. Pepe is one of the people that stays on it until it makes a change in you. He's seeing something in me that I never saw.
Some of the challenges that our youth here on the reservation face would be alcohol, drug abuse, poverty, and having no higher power, no spirituality. Some of them, their families, probably lost that along the way.
There's not one person that suicide has not touched here on this reservation. It is such a profound problem.
Part of what happens, I think, with Native people, especially on reservation settings, is that we as missionaries over time created a very dependent church. And part of what we need to do is to let go of our need to be needed and deal with people as adults. And invite them to take, not only invite them, but insist that they take leadership and give them the tools that they need to get there.
When I first remember sisters coming here, my first thoughts was, wow, they're going on Thorn Avenue. This is the roughest place in Williamsburg County and King Street. I thought it was crazy.
We're Franciscan sisters, and so we have that mandate of our Father Francis of go repair my house. And so, go repair my house doesn't mean from the old church to the synagogue or the new building that we put up, but the house of the people of God. Go repair misconceptions, go repair prejudices. God really just is using us.
That's the almost unbelievable thing in the rural South, to see the cooperation rather than the competition between churches, and to see old biases and worries pushed aside to do the work of God and be the light of Christ in the world. That's the thing that really and truly is amazing and a blessing to us all, to learn something really about Christianity, to be able to work together.
Please join me in welcoming our panelists this evening to the stage. For those of you who are younger than I and Twitter, if you'd like to join the discussion on Twitter, use the hashtag TPFDiscuss or follow the handle @CathExtension. Thank you all for coming to Boston. This is what passes for spring in Boston. So. I thought we would spend about the next 25 minutes or so asking questions to these folks, to both the panelists and to the two Ts here who work with our distinguished panelists. And then the second part of our time together, I would invite you to write questions that you want to address to the panelists or to anyone on the stage. So whenever it strikes you, whenever the spirit strikes, write out a question on the index cards that you received, and we'll have some GAs from the School of Theology and Ministry collect those, and I will direct them to the panelists that you see. I thought we'd start on this end of our distinguished panel. I would like our panelists to talk about, first of all, a short description of the context, which we got some idea from the film, and also what led you to undertake the ministry you do now in the place you are, and what difference do you think you're making in that? So, Digna and José.
Okay, I'm José López. I came from Stockton, California. I was a migrant farm worker for 30 years, work in the fields. My family worked in the fields. And too many times I hear the call from God, but I say, I'm sorry, I am young and I am a farm worker. But at the same time, he's told me, yeah, but you know the reality about the farm workers, the migrants, the young people from the families farm workers. And I started involved in the youth group, and on the 79 I started involved in the youth group. And that is the first step what I give, and the first time when Jesus pushed me more hard. Come on, let's go, you can do it. And that is my part, and I start in that moment.
Well, I would like to say that, well, first, thank you for having us here, and good evening to everyone. I come from Stockton, and as you saw in the video, we come from a very agriculture area with many challenges. The way I started working for the church is because I got involved in a youth and young adult group in a parish. And I studied the document of the bishops from the Conference of Latin America, where they were inviting young people, exhorting young people to be the evangelizers of their peers and their other young people. And I remember they were actually doing a preferential option for young people in the church. And that really struck me, and I said, this is what I want to do. So I got involved in retreats and doing different programs for young people. And every time we closed a retreat, we always concluded with Matthew 28. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. And that really kept with me, especially at the end when it says, and remember, I will always be with you. So that was the beginning of my ministry, and I have been involved since then.
Mm.
Well, I guess, thank you also for having us. I started in South Dakota 39 years ago in the Diocese of Rapid City, working for the diocese, and began the Deacon and Lay Ministry program for Native people, and then the Sioux Spiritual Center. And also worked extensively with the enculturation process, helping Native people in a systematic way bring their culture and their religious heritage into the church. St. Francis Mission, where I am now, it's the first time I've actually lived on the reservation. I served all 5 reservations before this. And I wish I could say I got there because I volunteered, but the bishop and the provincial twisted my arm off to go there because we had a very elderly priest there, and it was a failing sort of operation. And I've always been intrigued by the fact that most of the missions in the United States to Native people, and especially these in South Dakota, that we have been responsible for 127 years, have never produced a church. And basically the mission there simply kept on keeping on. I mean, it's the whole point seemed to be to continue to sustain the mission, not produce a church. And so part of what I want to do is end the mission. And I had done a survey.
You told me this last night and I almost fell off my seat. So it exists to end the mission.
So I mean, I knew after studying the situation for the diocese what people needed and wanted, and basically just implemented it. So all the people you saw there, all the programs that we have are headed by Native people. And to key into Pope Francis, first of all, we went out to see where people were hurting and tried to address it. So we did alcoholism prevention. We're doing dentistry now. We're doing suicide prevention, those kinds of things. Revamping the sacramental system, and now beginning to bring people back in.
Right. Susanne?
About 23 years ago, another sister who was in the DVD, Sister Jana, and I began this mission in Kingstree. There was not a plan. It was definitely a call from the Holy Spirit. Both of us had been working in high schools, in our private high schools, and dabbling, doing projects. And there was a call to want to live among the poor and serve the poor by that way. What were we to do? We had no clue. And so when we went to our provincials to ask for permission to go and do what we did not know what we were going to do, they said, well, how do we put that on paper?
Susanne is just being more honest than Jesuits. That's how most Jesuits do their things. She confesses it.
And we had mentors along the way who said, don't worry about a plan. You fall in love with the people first, and they'll call forth from you what they need. So someone who knew someone who knew someone who knew someone led us to Kingstree, South Carolina. And it was furthest from anything that we had ever even talked about. It was the Bible Belt. And South Carolina, the entire state is one diocese, less than 5% Catholic. And the county that we live in is 900 square miles with only one Catholic church of about 40 families. So it was as un-Catholic.
It's just like Boston.
And now you made me lose my...
I'm sorry.
You'll be fine.
900 square miles.
And so we came to a place where we know of the racial prejudices connected with the South and that, but it was also a place with religious prejudices. And we came to a place, for example, in 1992, when there would be Lenten lunches in the community, and the Catholics were not included. And that we are today. And we came to a place that at one time in our county court manuscripts, it said Catholics are not allowed to purchase property in Williamsburg County. So that was kind of shocking to us. But to make the story short, what happened was the intervention of the Holy Spirit as we began to pay attention to what the needs were and the outreach was developed. It was precisely our brothers and sisters from these other churches who came forth, knocked on the door and said, how can we help you? And today it has become a very strong ecumenical presence. And what the Catholic Church has really done to transform the community is to offer Catholic leadership.
I'd like to hear you talk a little bit about what you think are the challenges, both the challenges you had when you began the ministry and the challenges you face now, either challenges from the culture you find yourself in, or challenges from the church, or challenges from the kind of ministerial concerns you have. So, in any order.
Any order.
Some of the challenges that we face in the Stockton Diocese is that it's a poor community, and however, especially among the Latino community, tends to be a community of faith. So that really helps us in developing and creating leaders and people that can help others, and also bring the good news of the gospel and reach out to the different areas in the diocese. And so that it's a challenge, but also we have the favor of the faith, that it comes already in a way in the community, and that helps us to reach out and to create and develop leadership, and that's some of the things that we have been trying to do all these years. Education, that was the other area that being able to have resources to really promote the development of the human person and the education among the young people especially. That is a challenge that we faced, but nowadays I think as we have been growing, because the Latino community in the diocese, in the Catholic community, we are 60% of the Catholic population is Latino. So we do have a lot of people that have developed because we have now first generation and also people that are more stable in their financial, socioeconomical situation, and also more stable also in the church, as opening doors for others in the church as well, and developing programs to reach out in the evangelization of and reaching out to the poor.
When I was reading the story, Digna and José, three things struck me. One was the procession that you do, the annual procession that you do. How many people come to that?
We do have an annual procession for Our Lady of Guadalupe, and we have about 1,000 people coming for this procession, because the faith is a strong devotion.
So 12,000 people for religious procession. It's sort of like BC's commencement, only more overtly religious. And then you also just had a youth event, right?
Yeah, we also have go ahead.
Yeah, we have different events with the youth, especially in this Lady of Guadalupe procession. Too many young people participate on this procession, but at the same time we have a youth congress, a conference for youth and young adults every year for 27 years right now. And the last weekend, 22 and 23, we have more than 1,000 young people. We have bilingual conferences and in Spanish too. And it is a challenge. Invite the young people to celebrate their faith. It's hard, but at the same time, the faith of the people, especially the farm workers, they have a big faith, and they try to transmit the young people this kind of faith. And these events, it is a big resource for our community to show their faith and celebrate their faith outside in the streets, like Pope Francis and Papa Pancho nos invita. They invite us to make noise outside. And
I'm going to use that, Papa Pancho.
Papa Pancho, yeah, that is Pope Francis. And it is interesting how they respond. And the young people respond not only part culture, but at the same time the faith. It is great, the answer about to our community in these events and others.
As the dean of a school that have 4 really fine religious educators, one of the things that struck me that the Pope asked us as Catholics not to stay walled in our own offices, but to go out on the street. So you had a very interesting approach to this. So rather than wait for people to come to you, you do religious education in the fields. Is that right?
Yeah, we do have the catechism especially for the families in the camps, in the migrant camps. The catechism is done under the trees during the springtime and the summertime. And as the Pope said that we need to adjust and to make sure that the way we do things are really adequate to the evangelization in the world today. So we try to adjust and customize our programs in order to really reach out to the farm workers and to the kids and their families, because otherwise they will not be able to receive the sacraments. We do preparation for the sacraments, and we adjust the program in such a way that they are able to really be prepared and receive the sacrament before they have to leave for the next crop that they need to follow.
I was very intrigued with this. I was toying this morning when I was shaving, like, maybe we should ask our students to go on the tee and do CCD classes on the tee. How would that work? John and Susanne, challenges?
Yeah. You know, I don't like to spend too much time on the problems of the reservation because they are sort of like mountains to climb. We have a huge alcohol and drug problem. Almost every family is seriously impacted by that. We have a huge health problem. And from our perspective as a church, of the 20,000 people there, about 8,000 are Catholic, at least baptized, but they don't know anything about the church. You can have a funeral and do the sign of the cross, and most people don't know what to do anymore. So our point has to be, how do we re-evangelize a Catholic population, as well as reach out to all the 20,000 people on the reservation? We know that 47% of those people are 18 years of age or younger, and we know from a study by the juvenile court that they have no center, they have no sense of who God is. So they're not Catholic or Protestant or traditional. So much of our work is done to reach out to people, just telling them that there is a God who cares for them, and then channeling them to the traditions that they belonged to, either Catholic, Protestant, or the traditional people. And so that's a real challenge for us as a Catholic Church. But the good news about that is that we are making some progress, because once it didn't become my problem to do this, but became the challenge of the lay ministers that you saw, and the many more who, we have 33 employees, all of them native people who work on the various projects there. They are able to move into these communities much better than I can, and they can help people to heal up. Another just one thing we have to consider there is the damage that people experienced from the history with the federal government and the history with the church over the years. They were always treated as children. And we have not quite gotten over that sense of adult-child relationship with Native people, either on Rosebud or anywhere else in the country. And so this effort of trying to have an adult-adult relationship has to do with changing the minds of the clergy and people working there, but also changing the mind of the people so that they realize that they can be adult Catholics and adult Lakota people. And that's a chore. It takes time.
I would say that the problem we have is there's only 24/7 days in a week. The needs have emerged and have grown. And again, as I mentioned before, it was the Catholic Church who supported us right from the get-go and helped us. And over these 22 years, these people have aged on us as well and are still with us. It has not been a church that has grown because we've had 14 pastors in 22 years for all kinds of reasons. So if the outreach was going to serve the needs of the people, people needed to come on board to help us. When we began our Blessed Angela meal, our Catholics served it once a month, every month for 12 months of the year. Today, 20-some years later, the Catholics do it 1 month out of the year because the other 11 months have been taken by the other churches serving the meal. So what was the real problem or the obstacle was to get rid of the taboo about who Catholics were, especially to our brothers and sisters of the other faiths. That no, we do not pray to statues. No, the rosary is not just the ornament you hang from your car mirror. And to be trusted by our brothers and sisters. And as I mentioned to you before, there was a time when Catholics could not purchase property. We put up a new building 2 years ago, and it was mostly financed by the people of the town, the local businesses, civic organizations. There's only one Catholic family that owns a business in our town. And so you could see the transformation that has happened to gain the support of these brothers and sisters of ours. So I made sure at that opening day, I said, you once said we couldn't buy property, but look at us now. And you're helping us to do it.
Yeah. That's both the Holy Spirit and the Felician sisters, I think. But our dioceses are very different. Boston is an older diocese, a very well-established diocese with many institutions. Thank you. But also we're a diocese that is shrinking. In 1980, 60% of Catholics in Boston said that they went to church once a month. In 2010, 16% said they went to church. So we're getting smaller. You're all in places where the church is either establishing itself as something that people didn't know about, or it's really growing by leaps and bounds. What would you tell the people of Boston, the Catholics of Boston?
Well, I would say, for example, in our own church, it's a small church, but church is still the center of life for these folks. And so when Mrs. So-and-so is missing on a Sunday, we call to find out, or we know where she is this weekend. So attendance in church is a high percentage.
Nothing like social pressure, I always say.
And, I lost the thought.
Sorry.
It's
you can
you.
hit me. I know, it's me. It's me. It's me. My students say this all the time. It's me. Okay. Okay.
Well, I would like to say that in the Diocese of Stockton, the ministry has really grown. I mean, in the last 20 years, I can compare now, it has grown a lot. And I think one of the key things that we have done is develop and create leadership among the lay people. We have different programs that people have to go through formation and also leadership development. And the idea is to multiply, to create bridge builders, leaders that are bridge builders, and then they can help in the integration of the Latino community in the church, but also serve the church as a whole, not only to serve the Latino community, but also to serve the church as the whole. Because we are called to really do that. I mean, to be ministers for the church. And so that's one of the things that we have done, and it has been very fruitful, I would say, because we have many ministries. You know, sometimes when I call the parishes to find, to reserve a hall or a room to have a meeting with some of the leaders, it's so hard to find rooms in the parishes. And I told the bishop, and he said, you know, this is a good program. That means many things are happening in the parishes, and I think that's true. Our leaders are sent to the parishes to serve their own communities, and they serve as bridge builders in the integration of the church. So I think if I can go back and compare with 20 years ago, we have really grown tremendously in the diocese.
You know, we are missionary diocese too, and back in South Carolina, they are building Catholic schools. They are building Catholic high schools, you know. So there is a commitment.
One of the things I would suggest, I mean, I would hesitate to advise the Archdiocese of Boston, but I may go ahead anyway. One of the things is to recapture the document on the laity from Vatican II. This was a very important piece that many clergy have not read, or if they read it, they lost it. And I would agree with Pope Francis. I mean, even in our situation, if you have a priest or a person who is a very clerical person, very controlling, it's almost useless. What we need to do is re-educate the clergy to how to work with lay people and how to work as, again, adult relationships with them, give them real responsibility. This mission that I'm on could not run without these people who do all the good work. In fact, when people call me up and ask me a question, for instance, about the radio station, I say, I don't know anything about the radio station. So, but I think that's the big problem that we face in the church throughout the United States, is that we have a very clerical relationship going on between the laity and the clergy. And somehow to break that down, and I think Francis has pushed that a lot, is going to continue to do that. But, you know, the basic principles that we have affected all of us that we do out in the West, or in South Carolina, are just basic good pastoral principles. There's no mystery about those things. But, you know, people have to feel empowered and claim this thing a little bit.
Lily, Jen, and Kevin. Lily, you work with the Lopez's, and Jen, you work with John, and Kevin, you work with Sister Susanne. What did they do to get you involved in the ministry that you're currently engaged in, and how do you think your community is different if they would be different if they weren't there?
Well, thank you everyone for being here and listening to our stories. Well, in my story, in my perspective, I came from Mexico when I was 12 years old. So it was a new culture, a new language, a new everything. It was hard for a 12-year-old girl to experience that. And coming from a Catholic family that every Sunday we have to go to Mass, it was hard to find a church, a Catholic church, of course. And my friend, she was involved in all types of community service for the school. And one time she went with José for one of the youth groups that he was doing. And she invited me. And I was like, okay, something new for me. Even though that I was Catholic, I didn't know at that time what is a youth group. So when I met José, and I started talking to them in Spanish, of course, and they spoke to me in Spanish, I was like, whoa, they speak Spanish like me, yes. So he asked me if I want to be part of his committee of the quinceañeras retreat. And I didn't know what is that. Of course, I know what is a quinceañera, but I didn't know what is a quinceañera retreat. So I started helping him with the quinceañeras. And I asked myself, why me? Why he is asking me to help him with the quinceañeras? And when I was doing the quinceañeras retreat with all the other girls, I had my answer. I was like, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. I have the talent. He wasn't looking for a superwoman or a super boy who helped. He was just looking for someone who is within the church to help out, to bring out the talent that every one of us has. So they really show the light of Christ in us. They don't just come and say, hey, do something for us. No, they show us how. They show the way, they light the way. So and that's something that impact myself. And from now on, I'm working with them as a volunteer with them, with all the programs that we have, the youth conference, the quinceañeras, the retreat for young and young adults. In so many, Digna was mentioning about the faith formation, and that is awesome programs that we have, that we offer, that the diocese, within our talents, we offer to other ones. So they can, as me, can see their talents. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Jen, and you work with Father John?
Yes, mitakiapi. Chante washte no pechuzapi. I greet you all in translation in my Lakota language. I say, all my relatives, I greet you with a good heart and a handshake. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I work with Father Hatcher in the St. Francis Mission. I am the religious education director. I came to the position. Father Hatcher approached me about the position, and he offered it to me. And I grew up in the Catholic faith. Well, not only the Catholic faith, I grew up in our Lakota traditional ways, but my grandma was a strong Catholic. So we not only practiced our Lakota traditions, but we attended church every Sunday. And I was involved in the youth group, and so I was honored and excited and happy that he offered this position to me, because on our reservation, our reservation is it has 20 communities in South Dakota, and we have 20,000, probably over 20,000 people on our reservation. And I was excited to work in the religious education program because our youth are lost. A lot of our youth, they don't have any higher power. And by higher power, I mean not only the Catholic Church, but our own Lakota ways. They don't have, excuse me, I'm nervous, my voice is shaking. They don't have any higher power at all. So Father has instilled that hope in us to do something on a reservation, to bring that hope back. And I am so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for him allowing us to be able to do that and to work with our youth. And not only the religious education program, but we have our radio station that reaches all of the communities. Our reservation covers 4 counties, and it's a big reservation. It's all plains. And I'm just grateful that he's allowed us to do that, because we not only have that, but we have the recovery program. And like he said, we have a lot of alcohol and drug abuse on our reservation. So with our recovery program, that has really helped our people. And if it's not only helped the people, we have a codependency program that helps the people that are dealing with the alcoholics. And we also, we have a lot of programs. We have the dental program. We have a lot of healthcare issues. I know, I've heard people say that aren't from South Dakota saying that we get free healthcare, we get free education, and we don't. Our healthcare is really poor. So with the help of the St. Francis Mission being there, with the Catholic Extension, it's great. It's doing a lot for our community, our reservation. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
And Kevin, you work with Sister Susanne?
Okay. Me and sisters, our relationship is a little bit different. I feel as though I am a product of the Catholic Center and the whole purpose of what Catholic Extension and what the center is trying to do in our community. As a child, I grew up in the Catholic Center. My mom got me involved in our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is a little rough. It's not the most safest neighborhood in there, like they stated in the video. But my mom got me kind of involved with the Catholic Center. And I've been there volunteering when I was in school and college. I used to come back all the time, support the sisters out. And anytime they needed anything, I would just try and be there as a person. My family is the one that is the biggest impact, because my grandma works faithfully with the sisters. My mom supports my grandma faithfully with the Catholic Center. And to be honest with you, the sisters were like an extension of our family and our community. All the students who actually were involved, from my friend named Paris Miguel, Tony Presley, Dustin Scott, Franklin Fulmore, we all considered the sisters to be like our mothers. They were like an extension of who we already had at home. So when we come to the Catholic Center, we always felt comfortable. We felt ourselves. We felt as though we didn't have to worry about anything in the outside world or what the community had. We just could be ourselves there. So I'm more of a product of what Catholic Extension and what they are doing here. And to be honest with you, I'm just appreciative that the sisters are in my life. I can't see myself being where I'm at today without them and their influences. I have my mom and my grandma. They were great backbone to me. But the sisters, what they did for me is amazing. I have this one story. When I was younger, and as a young child, we were working on this science fair project on the weekend, on a Saturday now. As a child, you don't like to do nothing on a Saturday morning. I'd rather be watching cartoons, playing video games, anything. But I told Sister Susanne I needed a project that I needed to work on. And she worked with me faithfully on that Saturday. And it was a little rough, because, I didn't want to be there. She was trying to coach and guide me. So, my little attitude might have came out for once in a while. I really don't want to be here, sister. I really don't want to be here. But we got through it, and she guided me through that. And basically, it taught me that sometimes you have to work hard for certain things that you want. So they kind of build a work ethic in me. And the sisters do so many great things in our community. Like they stated, they have the Blessed Angela meal they do at the end of the month each time. And not only are the Catholics working together, they have so many different denominations working with them. That what makes it important to me, because they came into our community, which is not, like they stated in the video, like our mayor stated, Thorn Avenue was not a place most people would want to even visit, go down, do anything on. But they changed that image. Everybody know that if they have the sisters, everything's gonna be all right. So they changed the perception of our community, and I love them for that. And anything that I'm doing now is just me supporting them and helping them grow. So I'm just a product of what they have done in our community. So that's all.
Thank you. Please write out your questions for our, and put up your hand if you have a question with a card with a question. Actually, I've got some questions that were delivered. Sister Susanne, the first one's to you, wouldn't you know? How did you choose Kingstree? Not that it's on the tip of everyone's tongue, but it's like...
This is not a cliche. Ever since my confirmation as a kid, I did have a sincere devotion to the Holy Spirit. Kingstree is an African-American area, and our intent was to go to Appalachia. And we just never got there. Like I said, someone who knew someone who knew someone got us to Kingstree.
Interesting.
And I am very grateful.
Actually, there's a question too for the three of you. How do you think your respective communities would be different? How would they look different if the four folks sitting on this side of the stage had not been there? Kevin is ready. Okay.
To be honest with you, me personally, I don't know where I would be right now. Like, I have a great foundation with my mom and grandma, but then it's something about the sisters. It seemed like every time we used to get on the school bus, anyone who went to the Catholic Center, you got your homework? You got all your work ready? We got to make sure we got everything we need ready now. We can't go to the sister stepping, half stepping now. We got to make sure we have our schoolwork. We got to have this ready. We got to be ready. We can't go in there playing around, because they let us know when we come into the Catholic Center, it's about us gaining knowledge, helping ourselves grow and become better people. It wasn't them actually getting down on us, making us do something we don't want to do. They're helping us grow as individuals. If they weren't there, I don't know if I would have went to school. I don't know if I would have done some of the things that I'm doing. And even some of the challenges I face in my life, I don't know if I could get through it without some of the things that they have taught me. So they instill in us a lot of positive things. They have helped so many different people, it doesn't make any sense. But they do it out of the kindness of our heart. And I don't know where our community would be, because Thorn Avenue may not would be the same. And they have made such a great impact just by doing that.
Kevin used to be shy.
Jan or Lily?
I think our people on our reservation, they're lost, but not all of them. I think we'd be more lost. I mean, the St. Francis Mission, Father Hatcher has created so many programs, and like the recovery program that it is so helpful to have on our reservation. And I think we'd be lost in our young ones, because they don't, with our religious education program, we're able to teach them kindergarten through 8th grade, and they're able to get some religion in their life. Some kind of form of, like I said before, higher power, because they'd be lost. A lot of them are still lost, but with our help, with all our programs, I'm hoping that we're reaching all of them, and with Father Hatcher being there, and instilling that hope in not only us, but for us to go out and instill the same hope in all the people, I think it's great. Otherwise, I think we'd be lost.
Thank you. Good. Lily.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to imagine how will be the diocese without José and Digna. Every time we have a meeting for plan any event, there's not strangers there. There's a family there. Even though we come from all over Mexico or South America, there's a family there. We talk about ourselves. We talk about our family. We talk, just talk. And that is a community. That is a family. We are talking about ways that we cannot imagine. We can talk about everything and we cannot talk about nothing. Well, that's very rare that we don't have nothing to talk about. but every meeting that we have is like a family reunion. Even though we have a lot of stuff to plan, there's a family there. And José and Digna, they form that. They're just not offering faith formation and that's it, go on your way. No, they form community. They form, like Digna said, bridges. That's how, oh, she can do this. She had the talent to do this. Oh, she can help in this event. She can do this. He can do that. So there's a family there. So diocese without José and Digna, I think it will survive, but it's going to be hard, very, very hard to survive.
Great. Actually, there's a question for Digna and José at this end. What advice, since you've been so extraordinarily successful at attracting young people and getting them involved in the life of the church, what advice would you give people who work with young people in terms of attracting them into your organizations or to groups that help them to foster their faith life and get them involved in the life of the church?
Okay, well, I think one of the things it would be to really trust in them, as the document of the bishops of Latin America meant for me when I was a young person, when they said, we make a preferential option for young people. That was really struck me and really brought me to get engaged in the church. And I think that would be the first thing, to really trust in them and what they can do for the church and from their own community. And also, I really trust in them also that they can be evangelizers of their own peers. That's very important. And of course, offer them the possibilities and the opportunities to learn more about the church, to learn more about what it really means to be Catholic in the world. And I think connect them with the issues that they are facing today in today's society, and provide a light of the faith into those problems and those issues that they are going through in today's society.
Good. José, do you want to add to it?
The first thing is we have to trust on the people. Somebody else trusts on us, and we have to get the same way. The other thing, what we try to teach them is like an example. When we saw one handicap, we try to build something for them, to help them to drive the car or going into the car. The same thing I told them, look the reality about the migrant farm workers or the young people, what they need, not what we want to give them. Looks what they need. Like an example, the migrant farm workers, they have a special program for them. They start in May and end in September, because it's the time when the season of the fruits, vegetables, and everything is coming, and they come into our diocese. We have to give a special program from them. We don't have to say, hey, we have this program in the parish. You come to the parish, because they start the religious education in September and then in April. That is ignorance. We invite them to look the reality and give what they need and trust on them. And in that form, I think we learn and they learn, and we can build the bridges, but at the same time, we can build one community, not only person here doing this or another part doing that. No, we have to work together. That is I think for me is one of the main points to build, teach, and make leaders for work for the needs of the community.
Good. You know, the Pope is saying in his document, I dream of a missionary option. And I think, and that is, he says, just look in the ways that we are doing the things that we're doing in order for those ways that we're doing things are really the adequate channels for the evangelization in today's world.
Mm. John, I'm going to address this to you. What if Pope Francis could say or do one thing that would help you? This is to John, right here.
Father John.
Oh.
Jim.
Yes.
You.
I'll call him and see what he says.
If Pope Francis could say or do one thing to help you in what you envision for your mission in South Dakota, what would that be? What could the Pope do to most help you in this?
Well, I think at this point in Native American ministry in the United States, the most important thing he could do would be to support the enculturation process. I worked a long time on that in the Diocese of Rapid City. We had it approved there and approved by the Bishops' Committee on Native American Catholics, but over time now, there has been a reaction among the American hierarchy to that, and they're sort of moving back a little bit. I feel the Pope will, I hope he will, issue some kind of directive on the importance of the fact that God existed in these cultures before we showed up. And these people have a right to bring those symbols into their prayer life and to keep them there and to give that gift to the church. And that's a very important thing right now. And I'm concerned that we might lose an opportunity there. So I would say that's what I would say to him.
Enculturation. Susanne, what would you, if the Pope could do one thing or say one thing that would help you?
I think he's done it right from the get-go. When that first Holy Thursday last year, he went to those young people and celebrated there and washed their feet. Yes. He models it. He's very forward about what he has to say, but he models it, as we know, the choices he's made in his own lifestyle. Of course, I'm a Franciscan sitting between two Jesuits.
A rose between two thorns.
But he did take the name of Francis.
He did. Right, yeah. And we're happy he did.
We're happy too. But I think he's an endorsement for what we do in the church.
José and Digna, the Pope could do one thing to help you. What would that be?
Excuse me. What is your question?
If the Pope could say or do one thing that would help you in your ministry, your extraordinarily successful ministry with young people, what would that be?
One thing, send all the structural church, the people who work in the structural church, go out, send them more outside.
He already did. I think one of the statements that I like on the new Joy of the Gospel document is that he says that we need to be, not say that we're disciples and missionaries, but that we are missionary disciples. And I think if we as church implement that more in what we do, I think the church could really reach out to the poor and to the needy and to those that need to hear the good news of the gospel.
It's a question about priests. You've all managed to do extraordinary things, sort of with a shortage of priests, arguably a more dramatic shortage than we experience here in Boston. What role, if any, has that played in terms of getting people involved, getting lay people involved, and even non-Catholics involved? How can we make the priest shortage, the question was, how can we make the priest shortage into a good for the church? I think the priest will start this, okay.
I guess. Well, you know, I've often, in workshops that I've given on reservations, I say that we have too many priests on the reservation. I think that one of the things that the shortage really brings out is that, again, the role of the lay people and the fact that priests are ordained to do certain very few things, but they co-opted all kinds of stuff, and that they don't need to be doing. And so they're ordained to do the liturgy and certain sacraments, and they're ordained to give spiritual direction, but lay people do that now too, to teach the gospel and the scripture and to be sort of experts in that. But other than that, they really aren't trained to do anything else, and certainly not to run something. When I went to St. Francis, I went from being director of a deacon program to $1 million operation. I had no idea what I was doing. Fortunately, I was either dumb enough or bright enough to bring in people who knew what they were doing to tell me what to do. So there's all kinds of stuff in the church that priests have no business doing, and they ought to concentrate on what they're ordained to do. And if we do that, you can do a lot without a lot of priests.
I think I want to applaud that. So, anybody else?
Definitely working with other denominations has been, you know, a very strong part of this ministry. Our pastor serves 3 towns, and it's, you know, Stations of the Cross season right now. And so we have an Episcopal church in town. And so what we do is we alternate. One Friday we go to the Episcopal church for Stations of the Cross. One Friday they come to us. And there was a time that the Methodists invited us to speak at their church. They gave us 1 hour to speak about Catholicism. Sister John and I knew that this was a very important moment in the transformation of this community. So Sister Jana took the creed, and she went line by line with the creed, explaining, and what do you think happened line by line? Oh, we believe that. Oh, we believe that. We believe that. We believe that. And so when we saw that, you know, there are more things that are alike than differences, that made all the difference. I was part 2 show and tell, pulled out a rosary, holy water, a statue, and I said, these are the things you really want to know about, and you know, went on to talk about, you know, how those sacramentals are important in our life and what they mean. So, you know, I've had 14 pastors, and no, like you said, I did not. It's not because of me that we've had 14 pastors.
I didn't even imply
yes,
that.
Yes, you did. You said that yesterday. But working, you know, with the other churches has been a tremendous blessing.
Good.
I think we are at a time that we need to really create partnerships and work with others in what we do. I think that brings strength in especially working with the laity and the pastors, the priest, and other, like for example, for us, we also get to work with some of the social agencies that provide services, especially to the migrant farm workers. But I think working in collaboration with the priest and providing that respect for the work that each has been called to do, it's important in the ministry we do. Mm-hmm.
I want to offer a 2-part thank you. First, would you join me in thanking our panelists this evening for And I've discovered that things that look effortless take a lot of effort, so I'm going to thank two people in particular. Father Jack Wall, could you take a stand up, please, for the extraordinary work you do? And the bridge person for tonight was one of our very own students at the STM who also now works for Catholic Extension. And it was Terry Witherell's idea way back before Thanksgiving that we should do this. So Terry, could you stand up? Thank you. Go out and be dry, which is a challenge. So thank you. Good night.